Good morning. Thanks for having me here. My name is Eric Mishi. I'm the executive director of a Minnesota-based nonprofit called Spare Key. Spare Key has been around since 1997, and you're going to ask yourselves, well, if you've been around since 1997, why are you considering yourself a startup? And I'm going to get to that in a second. Lily said that 1 million cups got its name because it's about 1 million cups of coffee before there's a good idea. Our 1 million cups of coffee were really 1 million shots of tequila on Necker Island in 2016, along with Richard Branson and about 20 people from all over the world who came together to spend a week on his island to talk about exponential growth and technology. And that's the reason why I'm here today. What Spare Key does is we help families facing a medical crisis by helping them address the financial crises that they often find themselves in when they're trying to struggle to recover from that medical crisis. Spare Key is changing, just like the rest of the world, and that's really why I'm here today. The fact of the matter is that Spare Key is just like 38,000 other nonprofits in Minnesota. Our goal is to try to help families. We want to try to help the community deal with a significant issue or problem. The reality is that as much as we try to help a lot of families who are facing a financial crisis because of their medical crises, the reality is that we are dealing with the same competition as those 38,000 other nonprofits. We all do the same kind of events. We all go to the same donors. The same kind of people who are funding this kind of thing here, nonprofits are going to every single day asking them for something. And while all of that hasn't changed, the rest of the world has changed. Demographics have changed, tax law changes, the way people give to charity has changed dramatically. The only thing that hasn't changed is government and nonprofits, and yet technology is disrupting everything in our life. The reality is, as we look at the world today as far as how people give and who give, fundamental changes taking place all around us. Millennials matter to nonprofits. And millennials and nonprofits still haven't quite figured out how to harness that energy of millennials. If you look at this demographics, I'm not going to go through all this, but other than to tell you that millennials matter. Considering that millennials earn less than their counterparts did and are often riddled with student debt, years away from owning a car, the fact is that millennials will be the single most important demographic for nonprofits in the years to come. That being the case, old people still matter. So if you're 40 and older, the way you give to nonprofits, it's the same way that your parents and your grandparents did. You write out a check to Spare Key, you get the thank you letter from us, you give that to your tax professional at the end of the year, you've done your duty. It's kind of one and done. The fact is that we still depend on you, but you are not ultimately the long-term sustainable business model for charities like Spare Key. Fact is, millennials give different than people over 40. Millennials won't write out a check to a nonprofit. We just had our big gala this weekend, almost 750 people in there. I will tell you that the way millennials give at our gala is significantly different than people over the age of 40. They won't raise their hand during an appeal and say, I'll give you $5,000. But they will go play a dart game and a basketball game and donate $20 or $30 because they're getting some kind of engagement, they're having fun, and they're still making a difference and an impact. And ultimately, it comes down to technology, technology, technology. So our challenge as we looked at who we were going to be in the future was, how do we do this? How do we make this difference? How do we harness technology to help more families bounce and not break? We had to ask ourselves some questions. Why should we care about only one demographic? Why should we only give families and donors one way to give? And why should we limit how, where, and when, and how often? All of these have been our why. We needed to keep traditional patterns intact because the fact is, if you're 40 and older, I still need your money. I need that money because we need it for operating funds, but at the same time, I need your experience, I need your networks, and I need your connections to continue to grow our infrastructure to be able to address the growing needs of millennials who want to give philanthropically. Respond to millennials, and this isn't my stuff, I stole this from somebody else, but you got to ask for more than money, you got to be able to tell stories, you got to keep it simple. most of all, you have to communicate urgency. You can't just send a letter out and say, hey, we need your money because we want to help more people. You need to say the money you donate right now is going to save somebody's life. It's going to make a difference in their life. And if you can't communicate that, you're not going to be successful in trying to reach this community. So, Spare Key, we now change our business model entirely. In 2018, we launched a beta that we call helpmebounce.org, and that beta was intended to see whether or not we could get people over 40 and people under 40 to continue to support families directly rather than send their money to us to help those families facing a medical crisis by helping pay for their mortgage, their rent, their car payment, whatever type of expenses that they have that are being negatively impacted by that medical crisis. We determined that we had a minimum viable product, and so therefore we launched in 2019 a full, robust product that we call helpmebounce.org that has 100% transparency, 100% accountability, and 100% of those funds go to pay a family's financial needs. Those funds do not go to the family, they go to servicers. So if you are a donor, you know that if you made a donation, those funds aren't going to go pay for a trip to the Bahamas. It's going to go pay for the purpose in which you intended. Today, we are no longer harnessed to an old-fashioned funding model that only allows us to serve hundreds of families a year with hundreds of thousands of dollars. Our goal is to help an unlimited number of families with unlimited amount of resources anywhere in the country. We are no longer in just 4 states, and we are democratizing philanthropy by creating what we believe to be the nation's largest donor-directed fundraising platform. A year ago, this was our map. Today, this is our map. The J-curve, if you want to look at this, is that as we built this out, this was our model over years. There was really no growth between revenue and the number of families we could help. As we began to build the Help Me Bounce platform, we obviously saw a dip in the number of families we could help as we were constructing this platform. And our goal beginning this year is to start seeing this J-curve go off the chart with the number of families we can help and the amount of revenue that we can raise using technology. This is essentially our manifesto. This is what we operate by every single day today at Spare Key. Is we have a technology platform that we created that is always on, can be used by anybody, anywhere in the world to help them help families bounce and not break. And so as we look at our future, we look at this as us being a new business. This is the new evolution of fundraising. We think this is the new philanthropic model for the future. And we think for those 38,000 nonprofits in Minnesota, this gives them a path forward in a day and age in which technology is disrupting everything. That's what I got.